What is going on, everybody? My name is Ciara Lawler. Welcome back to another week of Hero or Zero. This is the Heroes for Hire podcast. We are back again talking one comic book character, as we do every single week. We talk the good points and the bad points, and we generally just give you a bit of a rundown of everything to do with that character. I am joined as always by my best pal, Mr. Shaun Mead. Shaun, how's it going?
I'm good, Connor. It's like Christmas Eve today because it's
that,
Listener
Shaun?
Hangout Eve.
Oh, pretty good.
We have Listener Hangout Day tomorrow.
We really need to come up with a smoother name.
Oh, what's wrong with what I came up with off the top of my head?
It's clunky. I would say it's clunky, but...
Clunky?
But yeah, we do have our Patreon and Listener Hangout tomorrow. It's a 1:30 Irish time, so all the patrons all got an automatic invite. We've had a few very lovely people who are like, I'm not a patron, but I'd like an invite. They've sent it on social medias. I'm happy enough to send one on if you get the VIP treatment as well if you reach out specifically. So if you haven't and you're listening to this right now and you'd like to jump on the call maybe with us tomorrow, feel free to send in your email to our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, basically anywhere you can find us, any of those messages, and I'll figure out a way to invite you in before 1:30 tomorrow. Well, our time.
Yeah, 1:30 our time. They usually run about 2 hours, that kind of length, so nice little thing to do on a Saturday.
And our new thing for this month, I think we're going to do a DC versus Marvel or superhero face-off.
Yeah,
just for the 2 hours.
We found a very cool website where it does like a bracket and it pits DC versus Marvel heroes against each other, and we can all argue and have a fun time seeing who'd kick the shit out of who. And then obviously,
I mean, Hercules would win based off your report
based
last
off
week.
my report last week. Actually, the Hero or Zeros are great because now we have a frame of reference for like the power level of a bunch of heroes and what they're able to do.
True.
And presumably at the end of it, we'll finally determine who's better, DC or Marvel.
This is the perfect way to find out. Because also, if I sound a little coarse, I was at a table quiz last night and the music was quite loud and I'm getting old.
Right. How did the table quiz go? What was your team name?
I don't think it was appropriate, but I can't remember what the pun was. But it had arse.
Right. Excellent. You know what? That's all I need to know, Connor. Say no more.
We didn't do well, but look, we didn't come last. That's all that matters.
Isn't it about taking fun and having fun?
It was about taking fun and having part, is what I said to the lads, and that's why we came last.
But going to try and gloss over that, but no, he decided not to. That's fine, ladies and gentlemen.
This week's Hero Zero, anyone who's seen the title of the episode, you know who we're doing this week. It's a pretty big one. And that is because we are going to be covering a recommendation by one of our listeners, Kieran, he sent it in on Instagram, said, I'd love you to do this. Admittedly, he did send it a few weeks ago, and I forgot about it. But then I found it.
Bad luck, Lawler, back again.
And so now we are doing Alan Scott, the very first Green Lantern, Shaun.
Oh, wow. I didn't know there was one before Guy Gardner. Or Hal Jordan, excuse me. The one Ryan Reynolds played.
So, I mean, Alan Scott is like, he's golden age. July 1940 was when he was first created. Oh, shit. Yeah.
That's not long after Superman, is he?
Superman is 37 and Batman is 40, I think. Or 39. One of them.
Early days. During the war, they came up with this.
But it's a really interesting thing because this is before they had come up with the concept of the Green Lanterns. They just had a guy with a magic ring. And so systematically since then, it has been rewritten to kind of include the lanterns and all that stuff, and the guardians who come up with like all the magic rings and stuff for all the lanterns. But originally it was a magic meteor that came to Earth.
Beautiful. Weird glowing meteor. I'm assuming man sticks his hand in it, gets superpowers.
No. Actually not. So Alan Scott first appeared in the All-American Comics in July of 1940. He was created by Martin Mart Nodell, who's a bit of a cool guy. I want a guy to go into Mart. The Chicago-born artist came to New York in 1940 to make his fortune, and after meeting editor Sheldon Meyer, who told him they were looking for another superhero character, he developed the Green Lantern in a week. So...
Fuck.
Nodell recalled, and I have a quote from Nodell, is that editor Sheldon Meyer asked if I had any ideas for a feature character. After our meeting with the editor, I was in a real problem of whirling thoughts on my way home and had no cohesive direction for a character or storyline.
That's me every week trying to pick a hero.
It's a proper Friday, like last thing before you go. We need a hero for Monday.
Just have that ready for me, and then your job is safe.
So he's on his way home and he's shitting himself because he's like, I've got no ideas. I went down into the subway leading to home in Brooklyn, and I saw a train man on the tracks waving down a train with a red lantern, then waving the all clear with a green lantern in the darkness.
That's simple.
That's so simple. And so Green Lantern was a mix of things that interested Nodell. He took some inspiration from Greek mythology, the opera The Ring of the Nibelung, and the sight of a tradesman green railway lantern, and basically put it all together. And he chose the name Alan Scott by looking at the phone booth, and he didn't stop until he found two names that he liked.
What the fuck? So he went from A to S, did he?
So he started off with just two. He just went through the phone book and just found names that he liked.
Oh, okay. So he passed by like Aaron Aronson and just that's wow. Did Alan Scott see any money from that then for the use of his name?
Well, I'm assuming he probably took Alan and then took the second name Scott from somewhere else. Maybe it wasn't. The guy's name wasn't Alan Scott.
But he was reading through the phone book, so it would have just gone down and he would have got to Alan Scott eventually.
True, I suppose you could do it that way either. Maybe we don't know his system. I wasn't aware of his system.
See what he's up to now. What's he doing? Is he free?
Mart, what's going on? Mart, I'm on the radio here, lad.
Yeah, it's me again. Yeah.
So after a meeting with publisher Max Gaines, Nodell was put to work for this new idea he had just come up with on the way home. They assigned a little known scripter to help him flesh out the character and the stories of the character, otherwise known as Bill Finger.
Big Bill.
Fucking Bill.
Big Batman Bill.
I'm going to come in hard and say Bill Finger is the most important person in all of DC Comics history.
Wow, that is a bold and not inaccurate
he's definitely top
claim.
3.
Yeah, and then the two guys who made Superman, presumably.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the ranking.
Yeah. And Bob Kane. What about Bob Kane, Conor?
He did loads of work behind the scenes just copying Bill Finger. He actually did loads of work.
We should do I don't know if we've ever fully got into that, but we should do a little report on those two sometime.
Who doesn't know? Bill Finger didn't get any credit for creating Batman for about 70 years, and then it finally all came out that he in fact created at least 94% of the character and all that was associated with it.
Yeah, Bob Kane said, what if there was a character called Batman, and then Bill Finger created Batman from scratch.
And Bill Finger was a guy who worked at DC and was just like, okay, I'll fill out the blanks. And so he did the exact same thing with the Green Lantern character, working with Nodell. Now, the main thing is Nodell very much says Bill Finger and him came up with stuff together.
Gave credit to Bill.
Interesting. That's an interesting
bold
thought.
move at the time. Yeah. It's a rare thing.
And so not long after his debut, so basically the two of them came together and they fleshed out this character. And I'm going to try and get into the origin now. But it started off that hundreds and hundreds of years ago, a mystical green meteor fell down to Earth after wandering the cosmos for millennia. Okay? It's pulsing, it's green, it's a meteor, falls to Earth.
Fairly standard Green Lantern origin at this point.
Exactly. A mystic named Chang found it and brought it back to his house. But Chang heard a voice inside the meteor basically prophesizing that it would act 3 times. Once to bring death, once to bring life, and once to bring power.
Oh, this is some actual mysticism shit. Okay.
So what's really interesting is Green Lantern starts as magic. Just pure magic. Like,
that's insane.
And then they realise by the Silver Age that they don't like magic, just because there's no logic behind it. So they'd already come up with the Green Lantern Corps, and that there was a group that came up with all these magical beings. So they were like, right, okay, there's a reason why the meteor falls. And I think that it becomes that it gets renamed like the Star Heart power, and it's like the Guardians actually secretly made this meteor. Now, this is all written like 20 years later.
It's all retroactively.
It's retroactive, yeah. But originally, meteor falls, it's magic.
Yeah, it's like how Thor in Marvel used to be magic. And Asgard was all magic and space magic and stuff like that. And then it's like, no, it's just really, really advanced technology, so people perceive it as magic.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. But so Chang carved out the meteor into a lamp, but other men in his village feared him and the meteor and tried to murder him. The mob was about to succeed, but green flames blasted from the lamp and killed them, basically meaning the first prophecy had come true, as it had brought death.
Okay. I kind of like this so far. It is simple, but I like where it's going to go.
So after many years, like hundreds of years, it ends up in America. And it ends up in Arkham Asylum with an insane patient known as Billings. Billings was fond of metalworking, and he remade the Chinese-style lamp into an ornate railroad lantern.
Like and the one that he saw on his way home.
Exactly. Light burst from the lantern, and he was sane, completing the first of the two prophecies. It had given life to a man who was insane.
Okay. That's kind of cool. I like this.
The reason why I included all of this was because I knew Shaun would think it was cool.
I think that kind of shit is neat to me.
So as it turned out, the power inside within the lantern was actually the Star Heart, which was the gathered magical forces of all of Earth One universe, bounded together by the Guardians of the Universe. Rather, that was written 20 years later, but in reality, magic meteor.
Way cooler if it's just a magic meteor, folks.
It's just a random fucking magical meteor that then they're like, no, actually the Guardians put all together all of the magic on Earth 1, and some of it spilled out into Earth 2, which is where Alan Scott is.
But right. Now Earth 1 and 2 had not been thought of in the 40s, correct?
No, there was only one Earth at that point.
There's only one Earth, and by God, we were fighting for it.
So what's really interesting about all of this is that the powers are actually different, because in regards to how it comes about in terms of the lantern, I'm going to get a little bit more into that after the next paragraph or two. So many years later, the lantern was found by Alan Scott, a construction engineer. Alan was riding a train during a test run to gauge the effectiveness of a newly constructed bridge. Okay, so they newly built the bridge, and they were doing a test run of the train, and Alan Scott is an engineer on the train, and so he's there to see if anything goes wrong.
Right, okay.
But his company had outbid a rival engineer, otherwise known as Albert Decker. And now Albert, you would think you would complain, but Albert, it's the 1940s, Shaun, it's a different time. So Albert instead plants a load of explosives along the track, intending to kill everyone on board, because if he can't build the bridge, then he wants nobody to have a bridge.
And this, of course, you have to remember it was a different time, so this was all right in the 40s. Everyone did this.
Everyone had
Your own
chutzpah.
granddad probably did this.
I blew up 4 bridges on my way home from school when I was young, but I was grand.
It's just what you do.
Half the time, before the old internet, on social media.
That's it. Well, there's no Twitter, there's only TNT.
So Alan was on board when the bridge exploded, and everyone on the train died, except for Alan, as he survived because he was holding the lantern at the time.
Just as did he think it was a regular railway lantern?
He came on and he was like, there's just a lantern there. He's like, that's a fucking weird looking lantern. So he just picks it up, and at that exact moment the bridge explodes, and he's just holding it as luck would have it as the bridge explodes.
And did that remain in comics? Did that remain as luck, or did they retroactively make it like a destiny kind of thing?
I think they might have gone destiny once they started doing the Starheart stuff. Yeah.
It's kind of worse if it's destiny, isn't it?
He's holding it at the moment of impact, and the young engineer collapsed into unconsciousness as the magic lantern filled his mind with its story. So basically, it got a load of
hundreds
exposition.
of years of information.
Yeah. At the lantern's mental direction, Alan fashioned a ring from it that allowed him to tap into the meteor's great power. So now that's where the ring comes from.
That's really cool. So he doesn't have to carry around a big lantern that shoots fire.
Which is technically also the meteor's third promise, or the lantern's, because now it has given great power. It was going to bring death, life, and great power, gave the other two, and now it's given Alan Scott great power.
And now it's just going to... It's done. No more promises.
It's fine.
Can retire.
It didn't promise anymore. Right? I'm going home, it said.
I'm off.
So Scott, perhaps influenced subconsciously by its history with the Guardians of the Universe, that was added retroactively, adopted the identity of the Green Lantern, and he fashioned a ring to channel the Lantern's powers. At first it appeared as an emerald kind of thing, but the first thing he does is he goes to Albert Decker's quarters, and he actually passes through the wall like a ghost, because his powers they're not nailed down.
Of course.
He says, I have the power of going through the fourth dimension. He was capable of deflecting bullets and knives. However, Sean, one of the original reasons why, before it was retroactively added, is that back the reason why the meteor came to Earth, it was originally captured in China, and the person who captured it was like, we trust you with this power. So the Guardians kind of thing were like, we trust you with this power, blah, blah, blah. And instead they took advantage of that, and they basically tried to take over all of their land, right? Using the power from the meteor. And so in response, there's a curse put on the lantern that instead of they took away all the weaknesses, so it's no longer weak to yellow, which is all the lanterns. So this lantern is not weak to yellow. What they are weak to, and it's a very ironic weakness, is wood. Because wood is the symbol of like the very common man back then. And so this guy tried to use all the power to take over his whole village and all the farmers. And in response, the punishment was, you are weak to their only weapons. So like a stick.
Yeah, they can just beat you with a branch.
They can beat you with a branch, but you have the most magic power ever. So that's the irony.
Yeah, but if they hide behind a wooden wall, they're fine.
So Alan Scott has the same weaknesses. A wooden club can daze him, but bullets and knives won't go through him.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And it's just, he's the only lantern that's ever had that kind of...
Yeah, because of the whole history of like that came to Earth millennia ago, and they put it's like a curse. Like they took away its weaknesses, and then they gave it like the most ironic weakness of all time because somebody took advantage of it.
Again, I really do like that. I think that's neat.
Yeah. And after that, Alan Scott became a superhero, one of the first to ever put on a cape in comic books, and the first Green Lantern had taken an oath, and he was born. And what happened, because of the 1940s, is that you had to have a crew of characters. You had to have a sidekick, right? And so
young kid sidekick?
He's got a cab driver sidekick, who's called Charles Derby Dickles.
Charlie Dickles.
So Dickles, whose nickname came from his signature hat, he protected one of Alan's friends from thieves when they were ambushed. When Alan heard of Dickles' bravery, he approached a stout man as Green Lantern to offer his thanks. Dolby stuck with the pair through the case and even tried to help a few times. Afterwards, the Green Lantern left him a note. I could use a good man like you to help me with my fight against evil. How about it?
It's pretty heavy for a Monday morning cab drive, but okay.
Also the most 1941 story I've ever heard.
Oh yeah, big time. Any one of us could be that cab driver, Connor. We could all help fight
Dickles
crime.
Was soon entrusted with Green Lantern's secret identity. Of course he was.
The cab driver thing as well, I do like. It's the same way I like Moon Knight having the Jake Lockley, the cab driver man on the street gets all the information. No one thinks that he'll be listening.
And so he has to have a sidekick called Dickles. Just there.
Green Lantern and Dickles? Oh my God, it would sell comics.
I think he also has a secretary in where he works, and she's also involved. There's like a love... There's a little bit of
romantic tension.
There's a bit of romantic tension.
Oh, it is the 40s, isn't it?
It's Molly something. I read it earlier on, but I can't remember the exact name. His first known profession was, of course, the engineer, but he later became a radio engineer at a broadcasting studio because to be near to the source of news in order to track down the criminals, Shaun.
Oh, it's like there's various elements here that kind of pop up later on, like that's kind of the Flash.
Yeah, there's a lot of inspiration. Like, so it's almost like these kind of writers, like Bill Finger at the very, very start, and you also have Martin O'Dell. They kind of led the way, where Bob Kane pulled up the ladder. Look, I'm not holding up against anyone's Bob Kane.
No, Bob Kane contributed nothing to comics.
Bob Kane is like, if I went on a show and they were like, did you do everything for Heroes for Hire? And I said, yes, I had no help. And I got millions.
Wait, look, if that ever becomes an option, take that bag, okay? Sell me down the river.
So what Alan Scott is also very famous for is he's a founding member of America's first superhero group, the Justice Society of America.
Pretty cool.
Many years before the Justice League, the Justice Society of America. He was also instrumental in the United States battles against the Axis powers, Shaun, because
Nazis.
The group formed a year before the attack on Pearl Harbor in November of 1940, and he met his future best friend Jay Garrick, who is the very first Flash there.
That's really cool. I like that.
He was also elected chairman of the JSA by mid-1941. So
seriously?
Within a year, yeah. He's
so all of the other heroes were like, oh no, you're the man. You're the one in charge.
And then, of course, all comics were about World War II at that point. So they did the All-Star Squadron, where President Roosevelt put together an All-Star Squadron of superheroes and sent them in to fight some Nazis, because obviously that's what you do.
Yeah, it's classic move in the 40s.
Alan fought supervillains and other criminals on his own title and with the Justice Society during the 40s. But unfortunately, he had to retire with the declining popularity of the superhero comics during the Golden Age. So they went big. World War II finishes. They take a big plunge down. And it got to the point where they just started adding random characters to these stories. Like, I think he had a dog that was super powered for a while.
Right, so they're just throwing shit at the wall.
Just throwing shit. Because people liked more fun stuff after the war. And we didn't like serious stories anymore.
Yeah, there's a thing that in the 60s with Marvel, the sales of war comics were so bad that Stan Lee made Nick Fury as a bet that he could still make a war comic that sold, and that's how we got the Howling Commandos and stuff, because no one was reading them since the 40s.
No, because I suppose like the last thing you want to know about is war after you've just been in a war.
Yeah, you want to talk about going to the soda fountain with your best gal.
I want to talk about Green Lantern's dog.
What's he up to?
What's he doing? So he made his final Golden Age appearance in All-Star Comics number 57 in 1951, and he remained out of publication for 12 years after that. So he just vanished.
Jesus. Was he written out, or did the comic just stop?
I think he just stopped appearing.
So he didn't, like, this like really important seminal character didn't get a send-off.
I think he became like he was a part-time member of the JSA at that point anyway, so they just kind of just stopped his run, like his individual comic book run, and they were like, he just never shows up anymore, sorry. But then came the Silver Age, which was a period in which Hal Jordan was introduced as the new Green Lantern, which is probably the Green Lantern everyone knows. One with a more science fiction approach, whereas Alan Scott's story tended towards more magic. And then it turned out that they had just come up with this idea that neither of them were from the same Earth. that Alan Scott and the Golden Age heroes lived on Earth 2, and all the new cool hip heroes lived on Earth 1, which was the Earth we were on now.
Then that's the one that matters. It's the only one you ever need to care about, and that's never going to change.
Because they came up with brand new heroes, because the old ones, they were like, we'll just make up a new band of heroes. And you know what's always so cool about that is, like, I always think it's so weird that, like, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman didn't get changed at that point. Like, yeah,
that they were like, no, there's still something here. We can work with this.
Like, they did it with everyone else.
I guess because those were like, they've always been the big three, really, haven't they?
Well, so, but also, like, they changed Flash. They changed, like, Flash would have sold quite well. They changed Green Lantern.
Oh, sorry, I get you. Yeah, that it's still Bruce Wayne. It's still Clarke Kent.
Yeah, like, Batman the character is still there, but somebody else is playing him.
I get you. Yeah, that is mad. That I guess it was name recognition. Like, it has to be. That
must be.
Like, people who used to read those comics will remember this, definitely. But, like, Green Lantern, I don't know, maybe they just didn't. It was sales numbers did it.
Yeah. Then on Crisis on Infinite Earths happens in comic books, which is just basically a multiverse thing, and all of the DC continuity is rebooted, and the two Earths...
I think, by the way, if we slam all of the episodes of Hero or Zero together, round about this time, like the 25-minute mark, you usually say, Crisis on Infinite Earth happens.
True. In all DC stories, at some stage, people are getting fucked up.
Yeah, you know it's coming. You know it's always
like they came up with this cool idea, spent 40 years on it, then they just fucking blew it up and they just did something else. But Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, and all the DC continuity all merged in together, so Earth 1 and Earth 2. Alan was still a founding member of the JSA and became a father figure and mentor for other heroes. So he's much older now. He's seen as like, he's like Jay Garrick, where he's one of the old people.
The old guard.
The history is still there. They still fought in World War II and all that stuff, but they're now like 60s.
Okay. I do like when they do that, like they keep the legacy characters around.
Yeah. He also is kind of a father figure to Kyle Rayner. When he becomes Green Lantern, major.
Yeah, my favourite Green Lantern.
Who's everyone's favourite Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner. And if he's not, he should be.
He's the Nightwing of Green Lanterns. What do you want? Like,
he's just cool. He also became an honorary member of the Green Lantern Corps, because technically he had not been part of the Green Lantern Corps, because it technically didn't exist when he was there.
He never trapped Parallax in a big net, so he wasn't a real member.
That's true. And the origin, he basically joins the Corps as the origins of the Green Lanterns are like retconned. And it basically became retconned that the meteor was part of a celestial body known as the Starheart, which is the creators of the Guardians came up with. And it just got loose, and it fell as a meteor on Earth, and that's when he touched it.
Stop thinking about it.
So
it technically,
he's connected to them.
He's one of us, but he has a really weird, different set of powers for some reason.
So Alan's weakness is wood, whereas the other lanterns are vulnerable to the colour yellow, which is the colour of fear. Now, I just wanted to touch on his supervillains because they made me laugh. Before I go,
there's some excellent names in here.
Like Superman, in his early cases, Green Lantern seemed to waste his prestigious powers fighting common gangsters. Where his magic ring could have easily ended a conflict, the Green Lantern was instead found using his fists and struggling against simple restraints for no reason.
He's just been tied up one too many times.
For whatever reason, only a few real supervillains before the war's end. Even then, our hero was often found bound to a death device after being after being KO'd by some wood beam, and then not using his ring to free himself.
Yeah, like there's no presence of wood anymore, so you could just let yourself... What if you attack him in a forest? Like, is it the presence of wood or being hit by wood?
No, it's just hit. Literally, it's basically a baseball bat. You could beat the shit out of him.
Like, rock up wearing a full wooden suit of armour. Like a plywood shield.
See, like, he still has his magic powers. Like, he can still, like, create a massive fucking hammer and just, like, kill you. But...
Right.
It's... Even if you are holding a wooden bat, it's just if you get one hit on him, it's like just being hit normally with a wooden bat.
Yeah, you're just hitting a regular man with a regular baseball bat. Now, if I put a nail through the baseball bat, the nail won't do any damage.
No, it's
correct?
only the wood.
Only the wood. Interesting. What if I splinter the baseball?
That would work.
Can I stab him?
That would work.
Okay. I see. Now I'm getting some plans.
now I'm taking notes. Going to take them out.
Yeah.
Now the main villain that first appears as an unassuming civilian, and this is the one that's probably the biggest in all of Alan Scott's comics, Vandal Savage.
Holy shit, he's still around.
The immortal Vandal Savage, one of the biggest villains in all of DC. He meets with Alan Scott very, very early on, and he basically acts like a normal person, and then the betrayal is coming because he's 1 million years old and he's been here forever and he's trying to take over America and conquer Earth and all that stuff. You know yourself of Vandal Savage.
The standard move. Now, where I thought that was going is that he was the man who found the ring first. They probably are going to come up with that. The Vandal Savage is their get out clause of if anything happened in the Golden Age or Silver Age in like the 16th century, he was there. He did it. He's the one who did it. It's all Vandal's fault.
Yeah, and he's just renamed something else. It's like Kang, basically. Like he was there, but he was just called Jim. He's not called Vandal Savage.
Present throughout all of time, but you didn't know it when we wrote the story originally.
So some of his villains, he has Solomon Grundy. So his two normal ones, Vandal Savage, Solomon Grundy. This is where it gets bad, because we've got humble shop boy Steve Sharp. He lost his chance at true love with his girl, his best gal, refused to go with him because his father and grandfather were notorious gamblers. His despair led him to leave his life behind and take up a colourful crime career as the gambler.
Oh, but now you've just doubled down on why she shouldn't be with you.
He disguised his age and donned a dapper late 19th century suit, tossing challenging clues at the Green Lantern. Instead of bullets, his containers contained poison gas. Ha 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 ha.
That's quite Ridley, isn't it?
Ridley and Jokery put together, yes.
Interesting. Very interesting.
He also once broke out of prison by impersonating Dolby Dickles.
Here, no. You can't impersonate Dickles like that.
Dickles is one of us.
He's one of the good ones.
He also then faked his own death at one point, but just to try and get out of something. And then when he came back, he had a giant deathly roulette wheel that he tied Alan Scott to.
Giant roulette wheel is excellent.
That's pretty good.
That's again is very Joker or Riddler in like the animated series with all that kind of shit.
Next we have Crusher Croc. He was best known as the all-around sportsman whose reputation for playing dirty led to a life of true crime. Dressed in sports gear and a mask, his antics drew the attention of Alan Scott. Sean, you're goddamn right.
So he cheats in like American football or something, and then just starts knocking off jewelry stores.
It just becomes a murderer, probably.
All right. Standard practice,
like,
really.
He calls for like a foul when he kind of falls over in a sports game, and then at that point, natural progression says he will murder a few people.
Like he'll take a dive, but he won't take the fall.
He'll take a dive and he'll take a life. He doesn't care.
He'll take everything you have.
Except the fall. Then we also have European physicist Dr. Joe McKent, who came to America with his invention, a coal-generating ray. McKent faked his own death and used his device to freeze his ship solid. Then a new gang leader called the Icicle began terrorising the town with that invention.
Interesting. Mr. Freeze over Captain Cold over here.
The Sky Pirate. He was a.
Keep going.
The Sky Pirate is the only one I included for this because I think you'll like it. The Sky Pirate was a terraphobe who painted a blimp to look like a pirate ship and raided Gotham City from above.
That's amazing. He's afraid of the earth.
He appeared to walk on air and used gas-filled pistols. He was also faster and stronger at heights, but that was never explained because he was just a regular man.
It's just something that he could do. This lad looks insane.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he looks insane now in modern comics as well. But back in the day, just a swashbuckler with a real pencil-y moustache.
Yeah.
Do this guy next time.
We also have Canodar, who was a criminal from the 25th century who came back in time and wanted to be the best criminal of the age, otherwise known as Jesse James. So he began robbing trades, even though he was from 2547.
So wait, he started robbing. Wait. He became the cowboy outlaw Jesse James. The real life person Jesse James was actually this dude.
Why don't you just shut up? Okay, alright. So he came back in time and he took big inspiration from Jesse James, and then he started stealing trains.
But that was him.
What are you talking about? He came back in time from 2547.
That's so funny.
And then just a few smaller ones. We've got the lizard who donned a green asbestos suit to commit arson. The fashionable and masked fop transformed common criminals into gentlemen so as to pass among civil society and then robbed them. Ha ha ha. The fool who used plasticine bubbles, lassos and a mini plane to keep the Green Lantern surprised and off balance.
Worth a shot anyway.
The circus performer Cordani transformed his clubs into weapons as the juggler.
Makes sense.
Gamma, who was actually a team of 3 men who used a cane that produced gas, big into gas, and a heat-based illusion to defy their opponents. Cool. And the Mr. Paradox, who used a gem to hypnotise the Green Lantern so that it was seemed he was capable of the impossible.
Right. I would say the Jesse James fella is a bit Mr. Paradoxy as well, because he created himself, technically.
Technically, yes. Technically, he did.
So, some of those stuck around as villains.
Not really.
Solomon Grundy did.
Yeah, like the first 2, yeah, but all of the rest of them are terrible.
You leave Sky Pirate alone. If I've learned one thing from this report, it's that Sky Pirate is class.
Terraphobe Sky Pirate.
Yeah, we're all afraid of the ground, aren't we?
Somehow more powerful in the air. Don't get into it.
Doesn't make sense. The oxygen is much thinner up there.
Very fit. Decelerated aging in terms of his powers and abilities. He has reduced ages. He's got the Star Heart empowerment, but it basically is just a ring. And it has been discovered that Alan's body is composed entirely of green flame. Oh, also, in the New 52, Alan Scott has openly come out as a gay man, which is cool. Pretty cool.
Good for Alan.
Energy construct creation, energy projection. It had senses, flight, force field, hypnosis, immortality, interstellar travel, invisibility, phasing, superhuman strength, teleportation. But he never used any of them. He preferred to punch people because it was the 1940s.
Get hit in the face with a 2x4.
Yeah. He's also good at electrical engineering because, of course, he was an engineer. Martial arts. He took martial arts classes
in the 40s as well, so... Yes. You know they're good.
Just stab someone.
It was definitely like in a shopping centre, that dojo was.
Absolutely. No, it's probably on the grass in a park.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. Business management, he obviously has that. Indomitable will. He also speaks Latin. Acting, journalism, master of ceremonies. Okay.
All right.
Writing, troubleshooter.
Come on, this is padding out.
This is really stretching. This is like a LinkedIn profile. Program direction, driving. Once he bet that he could drive the Dolby Dickles taxi without losing his temper during a whole day. All right,
that's a filler story that they put in the comic, really, for certain.
Was that needed? His weaknesses are, of course, wood. The energy is ineffective against wood. Items made of wood cannot be lifted or broken, nor can barriers of emerald energy stop projectiles crafted from wood. So you just make bullets made of wood, you shoot him, he's dead.
I try and fire a wooden bullet, though, you know?
Crossbow.
It's tough. Crossbow.
And that is my report on Alan Scott, the very first Green Lantern.
You know what? Like, it's a bit goofy because it's from the 40s, but he's a really good character, and I'm glad that he's back in the fold, kind of thing, with the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah, I like him.
Come.
No, I was just going to say that was the end of the sentence. I like him.
I thought you were going to have more like, oh, I like him because, but in reality, no. But no, for me, like I just think you see a lot of what it became. You see, like the first draft. And a lot of that is true. People who are very, very clever back in the day, who came up with this stuff, and then they were like, "This is the flat platform to build all of these characters off of." And work from there. He's still back in the New 52 as a younger version of him. He's on Earth 2 now. So he's just on a different universe, but he's still heroing.
Yeah, he's still active, and they're still writing stories for him, which is really cool. And it goes to show, like the building blocks that were put in place were good enough that it basically spawned the entire Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, they came up with it,
like, because the concept was so solid.
Yeah, so that's my report of Green Lantern.
Very well done, Connor. Really enjoyed that. Would you like me to take us out?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Thanks everyone for listening to this episode of Hero or Zero. We'll be back tomorrow with the live show. If you're listening to this, there's still time to send in a message and get... I might put this episode up a little early, because if you want to send a message and get the invite, we can do that up until about, like, before 1:30 Irish time tomorrow. It'll be a really good time. We're looking forward to it. So let us know if you want to be a part of it. If you're a Patreon, you've already got the invitation sent out. And if you want to join the Patreon, it's patreon.com/Heroes for Hire podcast. You get extra bonus content over there, invites, chats, everything like that. And there's also the merch store, heroesforhire.ie/shop. Twitter's @HeroesForHirePod, the 4 is the number 4. Facebook is Detective Diddleman's discussion group. Instagram is Heroes for Hire podcast. And the best way to ever help the show is to tell one human being that we exist.
Just a one, please.
And I think that's about it, Conor.
I think so. So I've been Conor Lawler.
I've been Sean Meehan.
I shall see you all tomorrow, guys.
Bye.
Bye.